What's going on, guys? It's Thomas here from Hot Take Hockey, and we are back with another video. Get out of here. What are you doing? This is not your video. What's going on, guys? It's John here from Hot Take Hockey, back with another video. Here we're talking about Tony DeAngelo. We're going to continue the conversation, talk about could he be traded? I know a lot of people are saying, is this guy done in the NHL? He's been given so many chances. He started his career with the Lightning organization, was drafted in the first round, and then off to the Coyotes. And then the Rangers. And now with the Rangers, it's over. Jeff Gorton, the organization has confirmed he will not play another game with the New York Rangers. Obviously, my brother coming in with the intro. And of course, if you are a new subscriber, welcome. Please smash that like button and leave your thoughts in the comment section. So let's get right into it. Can Tony DeAngelo get one more chance? One more chance in the NHL? Let's discuss some trade possibilities. Starting with the Ottawa Senators, I know the Sens, they're trying to rebuild themselves. They're trying to build up their prospect system. They don't need a toxic individual or a guy that's going to disrupt that. But what I'm thinking is maybe he's given an opportunity here. He's only got 2 years on this contract, this year and next. Maybe ANISIMOV or STEPAN to the Rangers. And I just want to make kind of the joke with STEPAN right now because I don't think the Sens will trade STEPAN just for a chance. Like, I think the reason they traded a second-round pick was to obviously fill up that center spot, get some cap to get well above the floor, and some experience in their lineup, and then maybe flip them prior to the trade deadline, right? So I think with ANISIMOV, it makes more sense here. I know Sens fans have been so frustrated with ANISIMOV at times this season, so I think he could be the guy that goes to the Rangers. It's kind of a cap for cap, and then the Sens got the extra year for DeAngelo, and maybe it'll work out. Maybe in this trade the Rangers do retain. I just think it is funny because Derek Stepan was acquired by the Coyotes, and DeAngelo was part of the package to go back to the Rangers. It was DeAngelo in a first that turned into Elias Anderson, and then Stepan and Ranta went to the Coyotes. So just an interesting kind of situation there, but I do think the Sens could be one of the teams if he does get traded. And Darren Dreger did report that there is teams interested in DeAngelo in a certain scenario, you know? So I think if there's a few teams, if there's a handful of teams that are interested in DeAngelo based on Dreger's reports, so these are the teams that I think he could be traded to. So Ottawa, maybe Anaheim. And for David Backes, this is an interesting one. He's got 1 year left too. And I think this is the scenario for, I think, Rangers fans that you might just have to accept. You're not going to get anything, or you're not going to get much for DeAngelo unless you retain. You add two or like one or two attractive pieces and then potentially make a deal of it. So for this, it's just a matter of David Backes the last year. It's not like Anaheim needs the cap space. The Ducks rebuilding, retooling, maybe a right-handed shot defenseman that they're kind of thin on. They give a chance to DeAngelo and maybe it works. Okay, so this one's really interesting, and there was a bunch of stuff thrown around Twitter about the Canucks and going after a guy like DeAngelo. They've been trying to get a guy on the right side, and there was the rumors about obviously Tyson Barrie, and then they ended up just settling for a shutdown guy to partner with Quinn Hughes and Travis Hamonic, and now he's injured, and the Canucks have been thin on defense. I'm thinking this could work. For two scenarios, I think one, just DeAngelo retained like 50% for like Jake Virtanen, or just straight up Tony DeAngelo for Sven Barchi. But it could be bigger. It could be a situation where you retain about 33% of Tony DeAngelo's contract, which would be, I think, $1.6 million. So you cut that down from $4.8 to $3.2 million, you average it out a bit, and then maybe you attach a draft pick to make it a little bit more attractive for the Canucks, because you are losing Virtanen, who, you know what, has been scratched lately, but he did put up, what, like half a point per game last year? He put up 30-something points in 60-something games. I think he put up 18 goals. So that's still a guy that has somewhat of value. And that's kind of the same thing with DeAngelo. Obviously, he's had more issues behind the scenes, but he put up 50-something points in 60 games. So that's something to not ignore. And I think for DeAngelo in a trade to the Canucks, this would be somewhat of a scenario. I think there's two players that could be part of it, and it's these two, and I think maybe they're both part of it. So Virtanen, Barchi for maybe DeAngelo retain 33% and a draft pick. I think that could work. Again, maybe the Canucks don't want to touch that. Maybe Benning doesn't want the risk, but they are one of the teams that I think would be interested. Penguins. All right, so this one, I'm just throwing out some other options now, kind of in the big picture here, is Jared McCann. He's a guy that, for some reason, the Penguins have wanted to move on from. I actually like McCann a lot. I will say this. If it is McCann, you're going to have to attach someone to DeAngelo and retain. So this is getting into the territory of like a good scenario for the New York Rangers. I would say you have to retain at least 33% and maybe attach another piece to get McCann into your kind of middle six or top six for the Rangers. I think it could work. But again, I think the Penguins, it's more because they are thin on defense right now, too many injuries. This is a huge trade. I mean, a huge hot take, but in terms of fits, this could work. The Calgary Flames acquire Tony DeAngelo, Brendan Lemieux, and Brett Howden in exchange for Sam Bennett, Derek Ryan, and Oliver Shillington. Shillington sent down through waivers, wasn't claimed. It was a huge shock. But he's a guy I think could get a different chance, and maybe with the Rangers gets that chance. Sam Bennett, obviously rumors that he's requested a trade. This would work in so many different perspectives. I think the only one maybe is like Brett Howden and Brendan Lemieux. Why are they a part of this? I think it's just more because you're balancing out what the Flames are looking for, because they're looking for some kind of return with Sam Bennett. They're not going to get a big return. But in terms of style, in terms of return here, Brendan Lemieux and Sam Bennett are very similar in style. The Rangers would be getting a guy back in Derek Ryan who could play third, fourth line minutes, just a veteran last year on his contract. And I don't think they want to lose Brett Howden, but Brett Howden for me is not going to be anything more than like a third liner, I would say, based on what I've seen from him. And then you're getting Shillington. So it's like Brett Howden, Shillington, maybe that's similar. And then Derek Ryan and like just DeAngelo, maybe if they retain a little bit on DeAngelo just in terms of the cap hits, balance out. And then Sam Bennett and Brendan Lemieux are very similar in terms of play. I would take Sam Bennett over Lemieux, but it is close. And then in terms of the cap, it's very close. Like, just to do the quick math, like you're talking about 4.8, so you retain maybe 800 or a million. That goes down to maybe about 4, plus Brendan Lemieux's 1.5. 5.5, and then Brett Howden's under $1 million contract, right? So then you go Sam Bennett 2.5, Derek Ryan just over 3, and then Shillington. So that's pretty close. I would like it's close 5.5 and 5.5, right? Going both ways. So I like this trade. I don't know if it's too much of a hot take and it would be too complicated to get done. But in terms of Sam Bennett wanting out, Shillington getting sent down through waivers, different opportunity, and then Derek Ryan's just a vet. Lemieux and DeAngelo, I know they've been friends, and maybe that helps DeAngelo kind of get accustomed with the Flames. Brendan Lemieux maybe gets a good opportunity on that third line with Calgary, and then Brett Howden maybe on that third or fourth line. So I think it could work. Again, maybe a hot take, but I do like it. And then this is a huge hot take, but this would be like a great scenario for the Rangers. And obviously the Vince Dunn, question marks in St. Louis. Oscar Sundqvist has 3 years left, I think at about $2.7 million. So this is interesting because the Blues are a little more thin on the right side than they were obviously before. They got Krug, but they lost Pietrangelo. So the right side, maybe they could get a guy, and maybe that guy is DeAngelo. So I'm saying DeAngelo retain 50%, Brendan Lemieux, and a second-round pick. You replace Lemieux on the fourth line where Sundqvist is currently. You save some cap if you're St. Louis in terms of going forward because Vince Dunn is going to obviously sign for more. And DeAngelo, you're just taking a risk. And at 50%, like just over $2 million for DeAngelo, if it doesn't work, next year you maybe trade him. And the guy's allowed to get retained again. So I'm just thinking in terms of a great scenario for the Rangers. I don't know if St. Louis would want to do this, but the St. Louis would get a second-round pick and Lemieux, and they take a chance on DeAngelo with 50% retained, and they do move on from Vince Dunn and Sundqvist. I don't think this is like a lose situation for either team. I think both teams have the potential to win here. The Rangers definitely in a bigger way. They move on from DeAngelo and they get Vince Dunn, who I think still has a higher ceiling to be a top 4 defenseman, and Oscar Sundqvist, who can be a middle 6 guy for the Rangers, and I think he has that potential. We've seen it before where he can play up in the lineup if need be. So I'll just go through the last trade here. This is another hot take. DeAngelo to the Boston Bruins, and they are already thin on the left side, but in terms of fit here, this could work. The Rangers is taking on John Moore, taking on Anders Bjork, and the Bruins taking on the DeAngelo contract. So in terms of cap, it lines up pretty close, like almost perfectly. John Moore, 2.7, I think, 2.75, and Anders Bjork, $1.5 million. So I think just maybe the perspective here is maybe you retain about $1 million off the DeAngelo contract, and that evens it out pretty well for the Bruins. So shave $1 million off, 3.8, and then you're just kind of paying an extra $1 million on DeAngelo over John Moore, but you're moving on from Bjork, who I think hasn't lived up to the standards for this year so far. So I think for the Bruins, because, well, Grzelcyk's been out, and it is always nice to have another guy that can play on the power play, DeAngelo might be
a good opportunity. Take the chance. And you know the Boston Bruins, they love to piss people off. So, I mean, taking a chance on DeAngelo, getting him in there could be an option. So, this is just another option to kind of throw in there for DeAngelo trade options. I'll also throw in the Detroit Red Wings, more just because, like, they're thin and they could give a guy an opportunity, and maybe Stevie Y starts setting some order and tells DeAngelo what's up. But we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you're new. Smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts on DeAngelo. What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, they cannot buy him out in the season. Like, if they find some kind of breach in contract where it would lead to, like, termination of the contract, like, I guess. But in terms of buying out, they would have to wait for the window. So if they want to wait, and then they can buy him out for the last year, and I think it would be like around 800, 900K for the next 2 seasons on the cap. So it's not the worst thing ever, but I think if they can trade him and maybe only retain maybe like $1 million, so which would be just this season and next, especially for a Rangers team that's still rebuilding, I think that's an opportunity that you consider, and that's why I think the Rangers are trying to trade him. So he's out of the roster now rather than waiting till the end of the season and have him like on the taxi squad or whatever, right? So it's already confirmed he's not playing another game with the Rangers, and that's that. So we'll see if he gets traded. We'll see what happens with the Tony DeAngelo situation. I wanted to make another video on it, give you guys the trade possibilities. Thank you so much for watching. This was John from Hot Take Hockey. I'll be streaming tomorrow night. Look out for the streams. Look out for the videos. I'll see you soon. Peace out.
I don't want you to look. You look away.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah,